Okay, guys, today I want to introduce the Vincent van Gogh. Yeah, he is the. So, who is the Vincent van Gogh? When we talk about Vincent van Gogh, we will think about 3 points. The first one, he had mental illness and he cut his ear, right? It's crazy. And then he shot himself. And the second part, he's a post-impressionist and he has many masterpieces like famous one, Sunflowers, The Starry Night, and someone don't know that, The Potato Eater, and some Elementary Blossom. So the third part someone would mention is in his age, in his time, no one is like associated with him. No one appreciates his job because actually he just sold through his whole life 1 pictures by himself. So that's very sad for an artist. So let's start it about his lifeline. Started with the baby Vincent van Gogh. So he born in Netherlands in 1953, and his father was a country minister, and his mother was a moody artist who conveyed her like the love of nature and love of painting to her son. So I think that's one reason that he became an artist. And so the first 15 years of his life, he is like us, went to school and like a general student like us. And at the age of 15, that's the year 1968, because his family was suffering about the poverty. So he had to drop out of school and started to work. The first 5 years, he liked doing lots of hard work. Anything can make him like earn his living, so he can do that. And the 5 years later, he went to a gallery in London, and he found his first love, and that is the landlady's daughter. But the girl refused his proposal, and then Van Gogh suddenly find that, oh, I'm become mad and a little bit crazy after that. So he changed his job. So very important year for him is 80s. This year he decided to become an artist, like a professional artist, and started to learn to paint. 5 years later, The Potato Eater will be regarded as his first masterpiece, because the first year he was influenced by Netherlands traditional painting and realistic style of painting in France. So his style is always very realistic, and the total pictures will be very dark and not colorful. And the contents always be related to the people living in the low class and how they live. Some comments nowadays think, when he painting this, he show his sympathy to others, although he lived in a miserable life himself. Someone really appreciate that. That's also one appreciate thing that I really appreciate. And later, in 86, he started to move to Paris and started getting in touch with some impressionists and new impressionists at that year. So his painting, the style of painting started to become more brief and colorful and simple. During the same year, he also learned the Japanese Kimoto E at that year. So the Kimoto E, the meaning of that is living in the moment. So Van Gogh really liked this idea, and he tried to paint this and several other. In 1888, he decided to move to the north of France and live with his friend Gauguin. During this period, he started to get rid of the impression of the impressionists and new impressionists, which he learned in Paris, and he created his own style. One of the famous one is the sunflowers, you can see the pictures become more bright and colorful. But one bad thing, once that thing happened in the Christmas Eve of 1888, is Van Gogh and Gauguin had a very big quarrel during that day, and after that, Van Gogh started to become very sad, and then he cut his ear. So after the quarrel, Gauguin moved out of the Van Gogh's house, and Gauguin moved to the Berg house. In the Berg house, he finally found his own inner side, peace in inner side. So he started with the Starry Night in 1889. Besides, they have the almond tree blossom, and later, in 1890s, the wheat field with crows. This crow, after drawing this several days ago, he killed himself, actually shoot himself in the wheat field, the same way, like he killed himself in his painting. Someone would say, this is the last pictures he lived in the world, but actually no. But this one is the most famous one and always be regarded as his last pictures. So that's almost the whole life of Vincent van Gogh, through his birth and to his death. So there are some details about Van Gogh. Someone said, oh, he's so crazy and cut his ear. And actually, he not cut the whole left ear. He just cut a little small piece of the eardrum. So, but the funny thing is, after he cut his ear, he sent this as a gift to the girl he liked. So that's a very, I'll say that. So girls, what about you receive the gift and then open it and see, oh, this a part of that guy's body. So at the end, you can see it's bad, really bad relationship. Of course, that relationship didn't work. And the second question someone would also said, oh, he has too many self-portraits. Is it very narcissistic? Actually, no, it's not very narcissistic. And nothing, oh, I'm so handsome, so I draw so many pictures about myself. He not draw other models because he can't afford other models, because he's very poor. So that's my presentation of today. So do you have any questions about that?
Very good, Ken.